Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. Today we're going to be spending some time with the Suffolk Department of Social Services. In particular, talking about the CommonHelp web application and also talking about the Early Childhood Development Commission and all the services they have to offer. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene, joined now by Zella Raspberry, a clerical supervisor here with the Department of Social Services here in Suffolk, to talk about CommonHelp, which is a web-based application that all Virginians can access whether you're in Suffolk or not. Zella, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about what CommonHelp is and what it can do for citizens.
CommonHelp is a new web-based program by Department of Social Services that will allow the customers to apply online. And they can apply from the privacy of their own home. They don't have to come into the agency. They can use the service to screen for benefits. They can apply for benefits, and there are several different programs they can apply for, as well as report their changes and renew their benefits online.
Now, if you are a new user and want to use this CommonHelp program, how long does it take to get yourself set up in the system? And how easy is it?
It's very fast and it's easy. The screening process, if you want to apply for benefits, it normally takes between 20 and 45 minutes. If you want to screen for benefits to see if you want to qualify, if you qualify for any of the programs, that normally takes maybe 15 minutes.
Okay. So we're not talking about a whole lot of time to find out what services are possibly available for you, correct?
And that is correct.
Okay.
And also with CommonHelp, once you visit the State Department of Social Services website, there are video presentations that the customer can visit. There are 4-minute, usually video presentations, how to get started, as well as what to do once they apply for benefits and start receiving benefits. There's a video that tells them what they can do to further or get more information about their case.
Okay. Now, once you're in the system and running, what types of benefits are we talking about that are covered under the CommonHelp application? What can you register for or see if you qualify for? What are some of the programs that would fall under that?
Okay, that's very important. There are child care services, so of course there are working moms and dads that may not be able to come into the agency. They can apply online for the child care services. There's Medicaid services that normally covers transportation and nursing home services and prescription and insurance premiums, as well as insurance for children. There's TANF, that's temporary assistance for needy families with minor children. There's SNAP program, which is formerly food stamps. It's a supplementary nutritional assistance program that allows you to buy food like cash using an EBT card. And also for the energy assistance program, there's fuel assistance, there's cooling, and the crisis programs. So there are several programs they can apply for.
Covers a wide range of programs, as you noted. I think you need a master's degree just to cover the listing that you just went through with all the acronyms and everything. But you mentioned off camera before we started taping that the program actually, CommonHelp, came about earlier this year, but really just started coming online, so to speak, for residents use in October. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What kind of feedback have you had from the folks that have been able to use the system so far?
So far, we've had a very positive impact on our customers. A lot of customers come in, and we do have screeners that are available to see customers. However, we do have computers available for them to use. If they don't want to stay in line, they can use the computer, which is fairly easy, and then they're on their way. And once they finish the program, we will contact them as far as having, the email or their phone, so we can call them for an appointment so the eligibility worker can interview them.
Okay. Now, as far as this, you mentioned though as well, the staff has been trained not only from the perspective of how to use it from a staff perspective, but there's also been some training from the users. So that way you kind of know when your customers are coming in, or if they're at home using computers, you know how they're getting into the program and how they're working their way through. So you kind of seen both sides to help them use the system, correct?
That's correct. Once we were trained, most of the supervisors were trained, and they are master users in the CommonHelp system. And what we're doing now, I belong to the Tidewater Clerical League of Social Services. We're using that program to help the clerks see what the customers have to go through to apply, and that's the kind of training that we receive,
Right.
what the customers actually have to do to get into the program. So we know both sides, how it works from the customer side and the worker side.
Got it. Now, of course, you mentioned that there are some computers that are available in the building that we're in right now.
Yes.
Why don't we take just a second to tell everybody where we are, and again, that's on the first floor, I believe, that those computers are located, correct?
That's correct. Once you come into the department, you will visit the front desk, and the front desk will decide whether you go into the CommonHelp area or whether you need to see a screener.
Okay. Now, when you use the CommonHelp program, say, for example, if you're at home, is there something that you would print out once you're done that tells you what everything is, or really you log in and everything's just there for you, or is there, like I said, there's kind of a leave behind, if you will, that comes out of that?
Well, one neat thing about the program, once you go in and apply for assistance,
Right.
of course you have to set up an account. When you set up an account, you are assigned a user ID and a password.
All right.
So it's very important that the customer holds on to that information
Right.
so they can go back and check their application. If they are starting the application and they do not finish the application,
Right.
they can use that password and
Right.
ID to go back and complete it.
Oh, great.
But once they're completed the application,
Right.
they are given a tracking number.
Okay.
And the tracking number is very important in that it helps them to identify their case and what they did, and they can print out their application. We don't really need to print the application because once it's done online, we have access to it. But if they have questions and want to call the
Yes.
agency, they can use that tracking number.
Okay.
And we could pull it up what they are talking about.
Got it. Okay, well, it saves a little bit of paper in the process,
Yes.
I suppose, then.
Yes.
Now, if someone is trying to use the CommonHelp program, and you mentioned there's some online videos and support there to kind of talk you through how to access it and use it, and they run into a question, well, I'm not quite sure about this, or what should they do? Is there a phone number or phone numbers they should call, both on the local and
Yes.
maybe on the statewide level?
Yeah, there are several numbers they can call. One is with the help, and that's the CommonHelp hotline with the State Department,
Okay.
especially if they have questions. They can also, if they're online and applying, there's also a help button on the screen
Okay.
that they can connect to ask questions. There's a contact also that they can email the State Department, and they would email them the answer back. And we do have a hotline here at Department of Social Services. If someone is online and they want to talk to someone locally,
Right.
they could call that number at 757-514-7430.
Okay. And of course, we'll have all those numbers up on the screen throughout different times, as well as putting up the web address. What is the address? So if you're at home and you want to access it, let's give that web or the URL for that. What is that to reach CommonHelp?
For CommonHelp, you can just type in www.commonhelp.virginia.gov.
Okay. Pretty simple. And of course, and I guess it takes you there, and I'm assuming if you're a previous user, you have the ability to put in your user information to get into the system, or a new user, I guess there's a button to click or something to walk you into the system and you can set up your account. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, because once you are online, haven't applied, you have the ability to go in to check your application.
Right.
That way you're checking your benefits. You can check what you're receiving, who's in the household, as well as report changes.
Right.
And you can renew your benefits online as well.
Okay. And of course, I would venture to say that certainly whenever all of us are going online, security, because again, we're giving out personal information, I'm assuming that's really definitely in place on the state level with the software.
That's correct. The website is secure, and also be advised that we are under state law to have all information kept confidential, so that's not a problem with us, but the website is secure.
Got it. So you can definitely feel safe about that, knowing that your information is protected out there.
And all that information also is explained on the website. So there's a quick guide to customers once they go into the website, so they can review that information as well.
Okay. Now you mentioned when customers come into Health and Human Services and the Social Services office here in Suffolk, if there is a line, or perhaps they can go ahead and utilize the system to do certain things, you have staff that would notify them that we have some computers that are here, or I guess if the computer's there might be busy, they would provide maybe a card. I see some leave behind literature right here, so that they can go and handle that. So is that kind of how that process works, that y'all are kind of leading them and saying, here's another option to save you some time and get you into the system quicker?
Of course, and we also want to take advantage of the Workforce Development Center that's in the city of Suffolk. They have plenty of computers that are available.
Yes,
so even if they call and say, well, I don't have a computer at home, you can use the computer at the library, or you can come into the Suffolk Workforce Development Center.
Great. So again, that's a multitude of portals throughout the city. You mentioned the libraries. You know, of course, we have the one on the Morgan Memorial, we have the one in Chuckatuck, and also North Suffolk. So those are 3 places scattered throughout the city.
Right.
You mentioned workforce development. Didn't even think about that one before we started talking, right there on Main Street. And of course, the Health and Human Services building right here on Washington. So again, a lot of points to get that access if you do not have a personal computer, and a great way to reach it. Well, Zeller, let's recap one more time. Again, what is CommonHelp and what services does it provide to the customers that use it?
Okay, CommonHelp is a central way that customers can apply for benefits online.
Right.
That's in a nutshell. Okay, and the programs they can apply for are Medicaid, SNAP, which is formerly food stamps, Crisis Program, the Energy Assistance Program,
Right.
and the TANF program, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families.
Okay. And again, the web address for CommonHelp is?
www.commonhelp.virginia.gov.
And one last thing, a bit of information, the local number in case someone's using it or thinking about using it and they wanted some assistance. You mentioned a number earlier. Could you do that one more time, please?
Yes, that's 757-514-7430.
Okay. Well, Zeller, thanks for being with us today
You're
to talk
welcome.
about CommonHelp and all the benefits that you can receive through it, and save yourself a lot of time, and go online and utilize this resource. We'll have more on the scene when we return. Welcome back to On the Scene, joined now by Brenda O'Donnell, Suffolk's Early Childhood Development Coordinator, to talk about the Early Childhood Development Commission here in the city of Suffolk, otherwise known as the ECDC. Brenda, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, tell us what the ECDC is, the mission, and also who is part of the Early Childhood Development Commission.
Suffolk's Early Childhood Development Commission has been around for about 20 years now, and its mission is to ensure every child in Suffolk develops to their fullest potential. It's comprised of about 11 members, one full-time coordinator, myself, and one part-time administrator.
Okay. Now, talk about some of the work that y'all do within the community, because there are a multitude of programs that you put on. You reach, I mean, you can talk about some of the numbers
Right.
about the parents and the children and the programs you put on, but talk about some of the current initiatives that are happening through the ECDC.
Well, since January, we have had several trainings, events. We've actually worked with 1,600 parents, almost 5,000 child care providers, and 6,000 children through our events. We have child care provider trainings that focus on directors forums. Small business training is one of our newest initiatives where we're helping child care providers work on the business aspect of child care.
Right.
We've done parent trainings. We have a great series called Parenting with Purpose. We've been able to bring in national speakers over the last year. We've had a great turnout with that. One of the things I'm most proud of is our special events that we've done for young children. We've done Kids Fest in the spring. We've done the summer movie series at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts, the Fall Preschool Festival, and we also have a preschool gym time where we're working with East Suffolk Rec Center.
Now, of course, when you do some of the events, especially the ones for children, you're looking at it from a multitude of angles. I mean, you're not just thinking about just to have a good time, but there's also some teaching and some learning, not only for the children, but for their care providers, be it parents or, again, the organizations out there that provide daily care for parents during the course of the day, correct?
Correct. Actually, our goal is to give parents, child care providers, the tools they need to raise kids that will eventually be part of our workforce.
Correct.
And provide atmospheres where they're learning the most they possibly can learn in a correct way, in the right way, the appropriate way.
Right.
Not just sitting at a table and coloring on coloring sheets.
Sure.
Because early childhood experts know that that's not the right way children learn. They learn through interacting,
Right.
play with blocks, giving them a blank sheet of paper and letting them be creative.
Correct.
So that's what we really train the child care providers on, the
Correct.
parents on, because a lot of the expectations have changed with school.
That's right.
You know, if you had a school person sitting here, they would tell you they need to know this, 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 and this. Well, we're trying to educate through play.
And of course, you mentioned schools. I mean, certainly ECDC works a lot in partnership with Suffolk Public Schools, where certainly one does this, and certainly there's a lot of common ground as well.
Exactly. We work closely with the schools, and I'm so glad to have that partnership. They're actually on our commission. They're represented on our commission, and our partnership is integral to our children. We've done several things with kindergarten transition. We've worked with the principals and child care directors. We've also worked with the kindergarten teachers and the preschool teachers to make that transition smooth
Right.
for families and for children.
You mentioned kindergartners or preschool, and that age is so important to the development of a child. If you catch them early and you get kind of things, the foundation laid, then they can really build on that educational and developmental building blocks over the course of time. Just talk about how important that is at that young age for care providers, parents, everyone to be involved with getting the child from here to there.
Actually, a scary fact is about 90% of brain development happens before the age of 5. So knowing that information, actually, the preschool years before school starts, that's the time where we have to really, really make sure we're getting children on the same page, because that's when their brains are developing.
Right.
So exposing children to hands-on learning, creative activities, and educating the parents to know that that's okay. Play is good, and that's important, because that's how we learn best, is through play.
That's right.
But it's scary to know that the Early Childhood Commission, that's our goal, is to get those kids early so they're better prepared for the schools. And the better our work is, the better the schools, they'll be received at school and be ready to learn.
Well, certainly there are a lot of early I won't use the word intervention, it's kind of a strong word, but programs that kind of jump in there on the early scope. You talk about the transition into kindergarten and getting ready for school, not just the development of the child, but the fact of getting to know what is school going to be like. Exactly. And that's a very important thing, because, you know, kindergarten can be scary for a young boy or girl, maybe for the parents as well. They can send that little toddler off to school. But just talk about what that transition, what the impact that makes, so that they're ready to go, both from the student, the parent, or the caregiver, and the teacher perspective.
Well, first off, we've done, with our kindergarten transition work, we've really educated child care providers on what the expectation is when they get to school, because child care providers want to help.
Sure.
So by knowing what the curriculum is in kindergarten, it helps them know, oh, I do need to do more work on letters, or more work on name recognition, or more work on shapes. So opening up that communication has been a big help. Another big program I'm really proud of is working with the parents, because a lot of times the parents have such high expectations for children, and they just want to buy the flashcards, and my child needs a color in the lines, and they think that's really important. So a big part of what I do is educating parents on learning through play, and going to the grocery store and say, let's practice counting apples, let's practice counting oranges, real life situations versus the simple flashcards. So a big part is educating parents, to let them know not to worry, but to expose their kids as much as possible, and to talk to their kids, and to read. So a lot of our work has been with parents and letting them know, but catching them early, that's the key. That's truly the key.
Well, you mentioned about all the, and I'll use the word opportunities there are to teach, to learn, to develop. And like you say, your trip to the grocery store, pretty mundane thing. We're just going there, get groceries, we're going to go home. But you can use it to really capitalize on things. And you talk about simple things in a lot of cases. Not anything, you don't need to have a structured program or a sheet or anything. It's just, let's take, junior, so to speak, and like you said, count the apples, or do simple things like that.
Right, and to involve literacy, you can make a list and have the kids hold the list and check off as you're going, recognizing the word on a box. A lot of kids know Cheerios. So that's early reading skills, just by looking at the Cheerios box, and then being able to check it off, counting what's on your list, counting the apples. I have a young child, so I practice what I preach, and when you go to the grocery store, that's probably one of my favorite learning tools with parents.
Again, capitalizing on those opportunities.
Exactly.
And we talked about some events that have already happened or are happening. I believe you also have some events coming up in the spring. Great opportunity to get back out and doing some things. Just talk about, maybe give us a little preview about what's in store through the ECDC.
This spring, we will be planning our Kids Fest that we do every year. There'll be one at Bennett's Creek, up at Bennett's Creek Park, and there'll also be one at Kids Zone. They're great events to come out and get resources in the community, and just to have fun, for the kids to have fun. Last year, we even got the petting zoo to come, so exposing children to animals, different types of animals. That's what's coming up in the spring. We're still continuing to work on kindergarten transition. So much is going on. Please check our website, www.suffolkecdc.com, for all of the updates. But it's just an exciting time to be involved in early childhood, and Suffolk has always believed in it, and I'm proud to work for the city that has put so much effort and time into early childhood.
Now, we've talked about a lot of great events, again, that have happened, are happening, will be happening.
Right.
But one thing about it is, a lot of times, or most of the time, you tell me, these events are free.
Yes.
It's just a matter of getting registered. So, and again, contacting you or going through the website to find out how to do that. But that is a true benefit that's being provided, that it's just out there to be taken advantage of, and use that opportunity.
Exactly. The Early Childhood Development Commission, we try to keep everything free
Right.
or very low cost, because we know how hard it is for parents out there in the community. We want all parents to participate because this affects all people.
Right.
So yes, we try to keep it very low cost. It's just a matter of looking at our website
Right.
and just paying attention to flyers that are coming home, and we do some advertising in the Suffolk News Herald.
Okay.
So we really try to involve parents and let the whole community know.
Now, what other resources are available on your website? I know you mentioned the address already, and certainly we'll have that up a couple of times throughout this piece.
Perfect.
But talk about what is there. What resources can people find there?
There's resources for parents. There's resources for child care providers. There's resources just for average Joe that
Right.
wants to see what we do. We're constantly updating it, and as you know, that's work in itself.
Sure.
But we try to keep it as updated as possible to let the community know what is going on.
Right.
And so they can hit. We have a lot of stay-at-home parents that they want to know, what can I do with my child during the winter?
Right.
Right now we have a preschool gym time.
Okay.
So with that, they can look at our website and see the dates
Okay.
and the cost if there are any. But definitely through our website, we do a lot of share a lot of information there.
Okay. Now, we mentioned the website, but if someone's watching this program and would like more information, what's a good number for them to call?
514-7457 is my direct line, or 514-7442. That's Pam Workman.
Okay.
She's our admin person, and she's phenomenal. She knows everything I know, so she'll be more than happy to help anybody that calls.
Okay. Now let's recap again in the closing minutes here again what the purpose or the mission of the ECDC is and the role that it plays here in the city of Suffolk for youngsters and their care providers.
Well, it's just we want all children to enter kindergarten prepared and ready.
Right.
And that's our overall, to ensure that they develop to their fullest potential. And we just hope to do that through our programs, through training child care providers, teachers, and parents.
Okay. Well, Brenda, thanks again for joining us today to talk about the Early Childhood Development Commission and all the great work that you're doing out there in the community.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thanks for watching this edition of On the Scene. We'll see you next time.